Welcome to Zone In Sports, your favorite spot for real talk, bold takes, and everything in the zone when it comes to sports. From hard-hitting analysis of the Miami Hurricanes football to the hottest stories across the sports world, we're bringing you that energy, passion, and a little bit of swagger, just like the U. So whether you're tailgating in the Coral Gables or arguing in the group chats or just vibing in your way to work, buckle up. You're in the zone with your host, D. Hamp.
We can't be waiting no more. We just got to attack from here on out. No matter who we play or what the circumstances is, whether it's cold, hot, we just got to attack from here on out.
All right, now we getting started. This is something the fans been talking about for a while, about getting off to a great start. Malachi Tony kind of breaks down in his interview what fans, us, people in the media, been trying to say, that they've been starting a little slow. They've been finding a rhythm. And I personally like some of the things that he's saying, because they've been having conversations about it in the locker room, about starting fast. For whatever reason, even in the last game, they didn't come out as fast as they should have came out. So it's refreshing to see a player come to the mic and talk about what they need to do to get this team where they need to be. Now, ultimately, a lot of stuff is not in their hands, so they can't control a lot, which is sad, because the team was good enough not to give away games at the beginning. But I digress, and we're going to hop into this next clip that I think a lot of fans wanted to hear from management, the team, Mario Cristobal, and the rest.
Just how much fun is that?
I enjoyed it a lot. I just enjoy just being out there with my brothers and being able to execute any play that's given to us, no matter what the defense is. So that's what I find fun. Like, we can impose our will on the team, the opposite team, no matter what play is called.
And just the pass to JoJo, just to be able to show off your arm strength, just what was that like? And can you run us through the play from your perspective?
Now, right there, this is something that I harped on last week. Being able to impose your will, no matter what play is called. See, a lot of fans was I don't even like to use the word bitching, but with rightfully so, was concerned the way the offense had been called. A lot of runs in between the tackles, which they are still running a lot of plays between the tackles, but the backs that they're using, Pringle, have had great vision, and the vision to bounce those runs out. And that's no shade against the other backs that have been in there. He just bringing an extra pop. Now, you have to be able to line up and feel you could dominate no matter what the situation is. And I think sometimes fans kind of get lost in the sauce about the play calling and some of the things that happen throughout the game, that the players ultimately got to go out there and execute. They get put in certain situations where they have to go out there and be able to dominate, especially if you consider yourself a playoff team, which I think a lot of people do. I think a lot of people in the media still consider them a playoff team. But it does no good if you don't go out there and execute. So it's just an interesting take. It's refreshing to see players come to the mic and just be brutally honest about what they need to do. And fans will appreciate that more when you come and you step to the mic and you say, hey, look, we need to dominate no matter what play is called. You know the play, you line up, you got to execute it. So interesting take. Now this take here with Mario, well, I'm gonna let him just speak for himself before I comment on it. Let's get it right here.
To our defensive guys.
Mario, two questions. First off, Gerard Pringle obviously had a great game last week, and just to see him take advantage, basically make him the lead back. What did you see out of him during practice this week, and what was it like seeing him take that role today?
I mean, I have a lot of faith in all those guys. I think we have great backs, but you pride yourself on saying, hey, you got to show it. And if you do, then you're going to gain opportunity. With what he did last week, it wouldn't be professional not to give him an opportunity to go out there and see what he could do. And he did not disappoint. He did a great job, and Marty did a great job as well. And we blocked well. We opened up some lanes and other ones he made happen on his own. The guys blocked well downfield as well, receivers and tight ends. And, so he earned it. It certainly wasn't just handed over, but it's like anything else, guys. That guy last week he was splitting reps, running down to the scout team, and then running over and getting reps with the twos. And just another example of if you work your tail off and you perform when your number is called, you'll be rewarded with reps.
Now, I'm gonna stop right there, because this is the thing that a lot of people were getting upset about, and I don't even like to harken back to the JoJo Trader thing, and where people were complaining about certain players need to be on the field. And Mario says it so eloquently about, hey, if you work your tail off, you do what you're supposed to do, you're going to get on the field. But when you get on the field, you have to make the most out of your opportunity. Now, Pringle himself, even though when he was getting interviewed, I think somebody tried to say some little slick stuff to him about, we'll touch on later about, I think the reporter asked him something about, did he think it was going to be cutthroat? I think that was kind of a slick little jab in there. But anyway, we'll get to that in a minute. But Mario talked about the depth that they have on their staff. When they get on the field and get an opportunity, when guys go down, you have to produce. You even have to produce in practice. You have to show that you want to get on the field. So when fans get kind of upset about certain people not playing, I think personally you have to take a step back and ask yourself, why? That's the first thing I ask myself when certain people not playing is why? Now, I would be remiss and don't want to lie and say, hey, these freshmen out there, they bringing some punch to this offense. Now, the great thing about that, I think the coaching staff see that, and they getting these guys on the field. They just had to get an opportunity. And sometimes that's all it takes. It's just an opportunity. And when you get that opportunity, you make the best of it. Now, it's going to be interesting to see what happens when some guys come back. Myself personally, I think you got to ride the hot hand. If these guys out there producing, I don't see how you can cut some of their roles, in all honesty. It's a cutthroat business. They're trying to make a playoff push. They got to keep their foot on the gas. And hey, you can't make friends in this business. So it's an interesting take. Hey, like I said, I sat back and thought a long time, like some of you guys out there, why ain't some of these guys playing? If they supposed to be who you say they are. You knew the running game was a little stagnant a couple of weeks ago. You had some home run hitters sitting on the bench, and you needed to give them that opportunity. And that's just how I feel about that. Now, this interview with Pringle, I thought that it was very interesting because of, and I'm just going to play a snippet of it because of the way the reporter tried to frame the question to him. So we can see if we can figure this out here.
What can I cheer you on?
It's a brotherhood. We're just a big family, the whole team. It's no selfishness in the room. It's all love.
Is that what you expected, like before you got here? Do you think it would be a little more cutthroat even?
Nah, that's what I expected. I talked to them guys before I arrived here. here and there, you know, while I was in high school. So I kind of knew what was expected.
All right there. Why would he ask him, did you think it would be cutthroat when you got here? Before you got here? Why? What kind of question is that? Do you think it would be cutthroat? First of all, everyone is competing for a starting position. How is that cutthroat? What is your definition of cutthroat? What guys going to go out there and be like, hey, man, I really don't want you to start? Or, I mean, come on now, let's be serious. See, sometimes these reporters could ask questions that just try to trip you up and try to sow division within the team. You know, I sat back and listened to that, and a lot of people think, oh, well, you know, what you upset for? He just asked the question. But you got to understand the context which the question is asked. This man comes out, has a great game, comes out the scout team, he's been producing, and then you asking him about before he gets to the University of Miami, did he think it's going to be cutthroat? What gave him, was it things being cutthroat before he got to the university? Is it other players that have said that people on the team has been cutthroat? And what context will give him the ideal that it would be a cutthroat environment before he got there? That's what I want to know. Because it sounds like to me, they all bag each other. You know, it reminds me of a interview I did with Don Solinger, and he talked about, if you go back and listen to that interview, that he had went into practice and he had high praise for that running back room. He said, and I quote, that this reminds him of the room that he was in because they all like to compete. So again, you know, when reporters ask people questions, you really got to step back and just try to figure out what was his intention? What was he trying to get out of that question? I mean, did he think it was some division going on? I'm not really sure. Y'all have to put it in the chat and let me know, because I'm a little confused on that one. And that's just to say the least. So I just thought it was just a question that maybe it needed a little bit more context in saying that. So I could be overthinking it. I don't know. You guys got to let me know on that one. So now I thought this was an interesting clip too. And basically I'm going to set it up because I don't know if I'm playing the whole what the reporter asked. But Carson Beck basically was talking about getting back in a rhythm. A lot of guys been on him and everything. So I'm going to let him speak in his own words on this one.
That's what the quarterback controversy, of course. But you hit on your last 13 tonight. And you just look back to where you were. What was the confidence level like for you a couple weeks ago, and how much better are you feeling now?
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like, again, I played a lot of football. I played in a lot of games, and I mean, there is an expectation of the way that, you know, from me and from others, of how I should perform and what I should do, right? And I'm my biggest critic, right? I always have been. But I mean, I didn't play football for 9 months and went through a whole like elbow reconstruction, right? And again, that not only is that a mental thing, but that's a physical thing. And
well, I'm gonna stop right there. Now I'm gonna give you guys just a little backstory, because I know it's a lot of fans out there, a lot of fans that have played organized ball, organized whatever sport you play, whether you play football, basketball, wrestle, hockey, whatever sport you done played. And I don't know how many guys out there have had significant injuries in their playing days. I have. And I'm just going to give you a little backstory. You know, when I was a young man playing, and I was wrestling at the time, and it was like probably about 2 weeks before our state meet in wrestling. I'm out there wrestling and I tear my knee up. This is my junior year going into my senior year. Blew my knee completely out, torn ACL, torn MCL, and PCL. Now, this was years before all of the modern medicine that came back where you got put in the hospital for a day or two. You had to get your knee drained in the hospital before they even sent you home. Now, you can have surgery, be at home the next day. Be at home the same day on your couch with the machine, blah, blah, blah. But I'll tell you this story is because 9 months later, I was back out there competing. I was playing football again before wrestling season. The doctor said I was okay. Mentally, I wasn't. So when I see fans that come on here and rail against somebody that just came off a major surgery and not understanding the context of what a player or a person has to go through, it kind of upsets me. I understand, don't get me wrong, we in a high pressure business of win now. But when you have to sit on the sideline, no reps, and then you trying to work your way back through the system, it takes time. Now, in saying that, Miami didn't have time. 1 or 2 games, you out of the playoffs. So, but in saying that, people have to put in the whole context of his injury. He will get better and better as the years go on and hopefully in his NFL career. But it takes time mentally to get back where you need to be at. That's the point that I'm making.
To be able to do that, I didn't do spring. I really didn't do much in the summer either. I was very limited in what I could do. And really fall camp was the first, even fall camp, I was limited, So we knew that coming into this, it was going to be some type of work in progress. And I knew that mentally, right? Because it's such a big mental hump. The last time that I went to go throw a football, I got hit in my elbow torso. Every time I throw the football, it's like that's what my mind is thinking about, right? So again, not to.
Now, I stopped it right there because that's what I'm talking about. Even though you cleared whatever that injury is mentally, even when you playing, and for those that haven't had significant injuries of that sort, a broken leg, broken arm, whatever the injury is, can affect you mentally. And some people think that, you over it the first game. But no, it's that first game, you might not take a hit in that same spot. It might not happen to you the second game. And for those that think I'm making excuses, it's not. It's just a fact. Mentally, it takes a while to get where you need to be. Your body is sometimes ahead of your mental state. And when people was out there saying he was trash and all of that, I kind of sat back. Was he not playing well? No. And he even said that, in the SMU and the Louisville game. And did he look a little gunshot? Yes, he did. He just didn't look comfortable. He didn't look comfortably mentally, because I think guys were saying that in my chats and emails I was getting, that he just didn't look comfortable. And sometimes it's just the psyche of when you get rattled. Let's continue.
Kind of take the question a little longer than it needs to be, but I didn't play football forever, man. I had an elbow surgery, and it was going to take time to settle down and really find my way in this offense. And again, being able to have so many explosive playmakers around me really helped me early on. And really, I just feel like I've found a flow in it, and I really understand what Coach Dawson wants to do and what we can do as an offense and be super explosive. So
a reconstruction, it is never minor under any circumstances, obviously. Do you feel like you're as close as you can be then to 100% coming out of it finally, now that you've had a few months of being able to play again?
Oh yeah, I feel 100%, man. And really the obviously we knew those first games, like obviously I'm good. I'm throwing, I can throw the ball where I want to, I can go. But like, again, you got to get back in that rhythm of playing the game, playing football. There's guys trying to kill me, right? Like there's big D linemen trying to kill me, linebackers trying to kill me, right? Everybody wants my head. And again, so just go out there, find the rhythm, settle down. And again, having all these guys around me really, really helps me and has helped me settle down. So just looking forward to these,
All right. Now, he basically says what I've been trying to say, and I think a lot of people, like I say, it's no knock against the fans. We all want our teams to do well. We all understand that if they saying he ready to play, we think he should be ready to go. It's just no secret about that. You think that, hey, when a guy comes out there and he's deemed healthy to play, he should go out there and perform. But we overlook a lot of the mental aspects of live game fire. It's a lot of things that go on mentally in preparing for a game and preparing mentally, getting out your own head, and trusting that you're okay. Now, I don't want people to think I'm out here making excuses for him because, like I say, when you play bad, you play bad. And we don't even sugarcoat it here. You play bad, it is what it is. We just go call you out on it. And he was playing bad. But I think he explains in a way, and it might not be the people liking of it takes time. And unfortunately, when it happened, when he started looking, I would say bad about 3 or 4 games ago, it was at the worst time. I don't think he was trusting his eyes. He wasn't trusting his ability. He just looked a little rattled. In the NC State game, well, before we talk about the NC State game, this Beck situation is reminding me of the whole hoopla of the Lenora Sellers situation. And for the guys that seen the game, yeah, it was pretty bad when it started going bad for Lenora Sellers. It got real bad, to be honest with you, because in the first half, he was rolling. And then in the second half, it started getting a little tight. Like I say, the bullets started flying, and it just, the wheels came off. He couldn't do anything. Now, I've heard people say, and this is all speculation because I don't know. I don't have any insight of whether Miami's trying to get him or not. And if they was, I've heard people say, oh, we don't need him. Just start Luke Nickel or blah, 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 whatever it is. But I will say this, the same fans that are telling you to start Luke Nickel, would they be okay with a 6-6 record next year? Would they be okay 7-5, 5-7 next year? Because you think Luke Nickel going to come in and take us to a national championship or a playoff berth? I mean, let's just be honest. Because if that was the case, he wouldn't be behind Emory Williams right now, would he? So we got to keep stuff in perspective. As far as the portal, and we had a lot of conversations about should guys get in the portal, should they come back and keep getting players out the portal? I don't know the answer to that. I mean, I don't know how Mario feels about his quarterbacks to where he might hop in the portal again. If I was a betting man, I'd probably say he is going to hop in the portal. And I know a lot of fans going to be peeved about that. Is Sellers the answer? I don't know. He brings another dimension. When he's on, he's on. When he's not, he's not. Just be honest about it. So, I mean, I don't know. It's an interesting thought on the Lenore Sellers situation. I don't know. How do I feel about it? I mean, I don't know. I mean, we have to see what kind of progress Nickel and Emery keeps people saying Emery not the answer. So if Emery not the answer, Luke Nickel might not be ready for live game action for a full season unless guys willing to take a step back. What do you do? You know, you guys in the chat got to let me know what do you do? Do you hop in the portal? Do you concede? Hey, look, we might not win 5 or 6, 10 games next year, or do you just go in the portal and try to mask that until you get your quarterbacks where you want them to be? Now, if Coleman comes in and raises eyebrows and the coaching staff loves him and say, hey, he could start as a true freshman. Let's roll. But I don't know if it's going to be like that. We don't know. So it's going to be an interesting dynamic going and trying to figure out this quarterback situation next year. Because right now I'm leaning towards they're probably going to get in the portal. And I'm not saying that's the right thing to do, but I'm just telling you what they probably going to do. So, I mean, I don't think fans will take a step back. If they get to 10 wins again this season and you roll out a true sophomore and they take a step back, what are the fans going to say? I mean, I just can't see them being happy with that situation. Now, going back to the Texas A&M South Carolina game, it was a great game, matter of fact. It was a good game to watch. It was fun. But it was something that happened in the game that I just want to touch on briefly. And let's see if we can boot it up. Let's see if we can boot it up here. All right, here, let's see here. Now, this is basically, you can see the player running in. Looked like he pulled a hamstring. Even fathom what would make him do some things like that, But I ain't gonna even say the funny part. The crazy part about this whole thing is that you got people online defending the officer. And I'm trying to understand why. First of all, what made the officer even go up in there in the first place? I don't know. Secondly, why you turn around and start yelling at the players as if they did something wrong? That makes no sense. And if you don't believe me that people are defending the officer, let me just put it on screen and just show you. I mean, hey, that's all I could do. It shocks me. And the first comment here, it says, players didn't move for the trooper. Nothing wrong here. Players didn't move for the officer? Come on now. Not to make excuses for the officer, but the kids didn't need to run up the tunnel after the play was over. take your touchdown, turn around, high five your teammates, and go back to the sidelines. Now, see right there, they missing a caveat. When Nick Harper went into the tunnel, first of all, if anybody has pulled a hamstring, you know, let me put myself on screen on here. Anybody that has pulled a hamstring, and I'm pretty sure there's a lot of men that's in this chat, played whatever level you played on, high school, college, pros. No, you just can't shut it down. You're trying to slow down. You ain't just coming to an abrupt stop when you pull a hamstring. And you could see him when it started tightening up, trying to shut it down. So that's why he just kind of limped into the tunnel. So to say, take your touchdown, go back to the sideline is disingenuous. I mean, at the least, you know. But that's the thinker. Here's Sam says, I see nothing the officer did wrong. The players were taking up every bit of space in that tunnel. Why couldn't they give the officer room to walk? Because they, like so many blacks today, don't respect authority, and being athletes, they thought they were more important. Now, let's just stop right there. And I want to think about this before I say it. Let me put myself back up there. I see nothing the officer did wrong. The players were taking up every bit of space in the tunnel. Now, the player, like we just said, was injured. He couldn't slow down. He started going towards the tunnel. His other players went up in the tunnel to make sure he was okay. They turned around. They started coming back onto the field of play. The officer caught up in a moment for whatever reason, elbows him. Why couldn't they give the officer room to walk? I mean, you can't make this stuff up. Give the officer room to walk. They coming back on the field of play. How come he couldn't just step to the side and let the players come back onto the field? See, this is the problem that I got before I read the next one. It's that, and this is nothing even against officers per se, but why do we always defend people when we know they're wrong? Especially officers. You can see stuff clear as day and still defend it even though it's wrong. And just say, hey man, he just messed up. He shouldn't have did that. This man on national TV, 105,000 people at the game estimated. Probably 1 million more watching. And he does this in front of everyone. Didn't think nothing about it. Matter of fact, turned around and started yelling at them like they did something wrong. So what do I think? It's power. He thinks he has the authority no matter what to do what he wants to do. And it's crazy. I mean, it was super crazy to me. I like say, read one more before we move on to this NC State game, because it just baffles me how people can defend stuff when they know it's wrong. I just never understood it, you know. I don't care if you police officer, the president, my brother. If you're wrong, you're wrong. If I'm wrong, I'm gonna come and I'll apologize to you guys. You can't be right all the time. It said Nick clearly saw the officer. This is clearly assault. Now he got to be trolling. He said, I would be shocked and disappointed if he's not apprehended prior to leaving the Texas. He got to be trolling. But the reason I put this up is it's because this lets you know, and this took away from, well, I ain't gonna say it took away from the game because it really didn't take away from the game itself. But it's just a bigger problem of how we view things in college athletics. And what do I mean by that? What do you mean by that, D-Hamp? I mean that if you rock it with your team, because this is my thinking, the cop or whatever he was, sheriff or whatever, is clearly a Texas A&M fan. He caught up in the sauce. Do I think he a bad person? I don't know. I mean, I can't go out and say, oh man, I don't think he a bad person. He can very well be a bad person. I don't know. But he caught up in the sauce. He enjoying his team while he watching the game because ultimately they're fans too. A lot of those guys are fans. And let his emotions get the best of him. But you can't do that in law enforcement. This is why people complain about law enforcement, because they get emotional, over emotional. And then they cross the line. And I know it's just a shove. And people will say, oh, well, you know, these guys got on equipment and he just elbowed them and stuff. My question is, if he could do that in front of 105,000 people, what the hell will he do when the camera not on him? Somebody tell me that. Would you feel safe of him pulling you over, leaving the game, if Texas A&M lost? If he that emotional during the game? Come on, man. All right, let's get to this NC State game, man, because I just thought it was crazy. And it was just one of those things that it shouldn't have happened, but it did. And people just got to talk about it because things like that shouldn't be tolerated at all in any situation. Now, of course, if you watch the game, first of all, how did y'all feel about the game? Because I thought, kind of like Mario said, that they played an actual complete game. I think this is the only game they played this year, offensively, defensively, complete. I think they did miss a field goal, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. So, but complete on both sides of the ball. And Carson Beck was 21 for 27, 291, 3 touchdowns. He looked good. He got in the rhythm, as he said. He was ripping it. Guys who were making plays. Pringle, 17 rushes for 116 yards. It's going to be interesting. Some of you guys need to let me know your thoughts on what's going to happen when they totally healthy. Now, from you guys coming in late, I believe Mario, he going to ride the hot hand. I think he brings, and I'm talking about Pringle, brings another dimension to the game or to their offense, to be more specific. And what dimension is that? You might ask. The dimension is, to me, because Shannon Dawson's still running them inside plays, he's able to recognize the hole, hit it, and got enough juice to get through the hole. See, my problem with about 3 weeks ago, when guys were saying they tired of seeing them run up the middle, is that some of these guys were just running into the back of people. They just get it, run right into the back, and not even trying to bounce it to the B or the C gap. Well, Pringle was bringing that dimension, like he could see it, and he'll bounce it a hole over and then hit it. So that's going to be an interesting. It's going to be interesting to see what happens when they get totally healthy. And next week, I think they might be on the offensive side of the ball. Not really sure. Yeah, Keelan Marion, 7 receptions, 96 yards. Played a good game. The receiving core itself has been, I would say, solid. So let's see here. Yeah, Josh Moore, 2 receptions, 56 yards. Malachi, 5 receptions, 54 yards, 2 tutties. JoJo, 1 reception, 44 yards. We know what that came on. And the crazy part about the Malachi situation thing of it is they shading a lot of coverage to his side. And what I do like that Shannon Dawson is doing, he's finding different ways to get him involved in the game. It's what you got to do with great players. You got to figure out a way to get the ball in their hands, whether it's through reverses, whether it's through touchdown passes as he's thrown. You just got to find different ways to get them involved. And sometimes OCs, offensive coordinators, they have a problem. They outthink themselves, where they say, okay, well, they taking my guy out the game. I'm just going to decoy him and just use other guys. No, you got to use the talent that you got. So I do like the fact that Shannon Dawson is doing that, is getting him involved. Nia Carr, 2 receptions, 32 yards. Lofton finally got a touchdown. He was 1 reception, 29 yards. Now, my question about Lofton, you guys, is I know before the beginning of the season, myself, a lot of you guys out there had really, really big plans for Lofton. And I'm trying to figure out what went wrong in the offensive scheme where he's not having a bigger year than what he's having. Because let's be honest, he hasn't really been involved in the offense. Not as much as I thought he would coming into. And the way that they were building him up to saying he was the Swiss Army knife, we could line him up in the backfield. We could split him out tight end. We might could even line him up to wide receiver. So I don't know if schematically what's going on. It's hard to say, on that situation. Tamar Brown had 1 reception, 3 yards up short, 8 yards, 1 reception. Brom, 2 receptions, 13 yards. So again, it was well balanced. And they needed this showing that they had. Now, I think Mario said something I didn't play in the clip. And I think a reporter asked him something of the fact about, now I'm using my words here, about running up the score or style points. I think the way that they tried to phrase it. And I think he tried to downplay it, but we all knew this. We said this last week. You got to go out and you got to throttle teams that you should throttle. The only thing that makes me upset and kind of pisses me off a little bit, you should have been doing this from the beginning of the season. You shouldn't have been shutting it down after in the second half or whatever. You should have been opening it up the way you opening it up now. Don't get your backs against the wall trying to make the playoffs, and then all of a sudden you feel like you're just going to throw everything out there because now you want to get style points and stuff. You should have been doing this from the beginning. That's the point I've been making. If you consider yourself a national champion or a playoff team, you have to play like it every week. Now, I've heard people say Mario had been holding back the offense. It's reports that he had too much of a handprint on not letting Shannon Dawson do the things that he need to do. I can't confirm that, so I don't know. It could be true. And if that is, he should have reflected on that games ago. It shouldn't have got to them getting 2 losses and then him saying, okay, hey, I need you to open this up. Because by then it's too late. So that part frustrates me a little bit. Now, we'll talk a little bit about this defense here. This defense here has been the bright spot to everything. And the crazy part, and I think what pisses a lot of fans off and make a lot of fans upset is that this defense has the way they playing. If the offense could match that like they did Saturday, they could make some noise in the national championship playoffs if they get into it, the college football playoffs, if they get into it. They done wasted some opportunities. This defense has kept them in almost every game they done played. And sometimes I think them just being, well, a combination of Beck playing bad, the one game where he had 4 turnovers in, I think it was the Louisville game, he had 4 turnovers. The defense still held you, gave you a chance to win. You lose by 3. I mean, you just can't have that. You know, you have to take advantage of your opportunities. And it's just frustrating to see that. You know, last year we were so explosive, number 1 offense in the country. This year, this defense is playing, you know, like a top 10 defense. I don't know their ranking right now, so I can't say. But you know they're a great defense, and it held them. There's no reason they should. Technically, I'm gonna be honest, this team should be undefeated. And I know should or whatever, you know, doesn't make a difference. But the way this defense played, they have kept them and gave them the ability to win every game. And take this, let's say best defense in the country. Sucks we have to pray to make the playoffs. I see us winning out. Yeah, it does suck to see us having to pray to get into the playoffs. The rankings are a joke. Let me just say that right off the bat. Just a purity joke. You know, you telling guys certain games and the times that they play don't matter. They played this team early in the season, this and that, all this stuff. Now, maybe it might work itself out. I don't know. I know a lot of teams or a lot of people are focused so much on the ACC championship game. I wasn't really focused on that. I'm focused on where they're going to be ranked at and then winning out and then backdooring their way in. It's one of the 12 best teams in the country. I mean, that's what I'm focused on. And I think that's what they focus on. You got to go out there. You got to go to Virginia Tech. You got to beat their head in. Play like you a top 12 team. You got to be all gas, no break when you go over there, you know, and you got to do what you got to do. And hopefully, like I say, we pray the committee will see what we see. You know, teams have lapses. You just can't have them at the critical times. It's a Malachi Tony, QB1 next year. Hey, if they don't get this situation figured out, he might be. So, like I said, we don't know what's going to go on with the quarterback situation next year. So I don't know. I mean, like I said before, I'm thinking they're going to hop in the portal. I mean, I'm not saying they should. I am not saying they shouldn't. I just think that they are. And like I say, unless Coleman comes in and just lights it up, or nickel, and I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I don't know how the coaching staff really feels about both of them per se. So it's going to be interesting dynamics for that battle. I'd say I've been a Cade fan since 1982, and I can say Miami has never had a better player with Malachi Tony's skill set. That's interesting. Hey, I will say this. You might be right on that, because I can't remember too many players coming in and just throwing the ball and just drawing so much attention to himself. It's like you have to have a whole game plan at every position for him, because he's not just a receiver. You know, he can go out there in the slot. Sometimes they'll line him up wide a little bit. Sometimes they'll run him out on the reverse, running the ball. Sometimes they'll let him throw the ball. That's tough to defend when you have a guy that's capable of doing so many things. Because there's a lot of guys out there we know that didn't play quarterback in high school, and then you tell them to throw a wide receiver pass or something, and hell, they overthrow them by 30 yards, or they, they don't even look comfortable throwing the ball. I mean, he actually looks the part. They got a lot of confidence in him to when they call that play. Hey, they on to something with him. It's a Stevie Wonder can see that it's been Mario philosophy was holding back this offense. Pinellas, I'm gonna say this because you've been on this channel before, and I've been defending Mario, but I'm starting to see, I'm starting to come around a little bit, because sometimes head coaches, you got to step back and you got to let your OCs do what they got to do. You just got to just take a step back and let this man get in the flow. I understand you want to pound the ball, but the beauty of it is that Shannon Dawson did it in reverse. What we've been wanting. You come out, you start fast, you spread them out, you start throwing the ball around, and then when you get up and you get a nice little lead, then you can start pounding them. Then you can start using your backs like you want to use them. Then you can go smash mouth. So it's like they just got two different philosophies, and maybe they had to get in the room and hash it out. I don't know. But it's just it's interesting. He can do it all: run, catch, pass, do whatever you need him to do. He's a great punt return. I forgot. Yeah, he running punts too. I mean, yeah. So whatever you want him to do, he can do. So, and that puts a lot of pressure on defensive, especially when you have other athletes on the field. Now, I will say this: as much as Malachi doing, like I say, some of the secondary receivers. Now we know Keelan Marion came on this game, and CJ Daniels, he's been balling. But we need to lock down at number 2. I would say Danielson locked it down coming off injury, but I'm really concerned about Lofton. because as much attention that Malachi is getting, to me, Loftus should be eating out there. I mean, yeah, I mean, he should be eating well. And I don't know if it's the game plan or how they plan them. I don't know. But I do know that he's requiring or attracting a lot of the attention. He said, I believe that Mario has his hands on that with I'm gonna wear you out mentally. SMU showed that on work all the time. They had negative 2 yards after 4 quarters and beat us. Yeah. At some point in that game, and a lot of guys know I was traveling that week, so I had to watch the condensed version of the game. And yeah, it just something had to change in that game to say, hey, look, this not working. Ain't no sense let's keep running the ball, spread them out, and let's just go for it. Especially when you know what's on the line. So, what's up, Craig? It says, I'm behind watching, but the question out of Cutthroat Room is another example of our toxic fan base and reporters. Dumbass question. We are 8-2 heading to the college football playoffs, and our lab still doesn't Yeah, like I said, for you guys that maybe came in late, didn't see that, I played a clip when they asked, I believe, Pringle the question about being cutthroat in the running back room. And I just thought the question was kind of out of bounds, you know? I mean, the guy being recruited here, what made the reporter even, I mean, do we get some insight that the room has been cutthroat or that players are being cutthroat? I mean, no matter what school you go to, every player wants to start. Every player wants to play. But when I personally think of cutthroat, it's somebody that's tearing you down for their own game. Somebody that's telling you something to your face and doing something behind your back to get to advance. And that's why I wish the reporter, and I know Pringle wasn't going to elaborate on that, and it wasn't a perfect setting. But I would ask them, why would you even ask me something about being cutthroat? I mean, is there examples of somebody being cutthroat? It's just shocking and the fans, some of them fans too. I see them on Facebook and Instagram, and they still be whining and crying about stuff. And like I said, I'm all for the passionate fan, constructive criticism. And some of you guys have made me come around on certain things. So I'm all for that. But when you just crying for crying, I mean, that's just silly. When you just saying, oh, well, this guy trashed because of this, it's second play of the game. Now, come on now. I mean, let's be serious. We done played 1 quarter of play, or they done ran one series, and then we just taking it in. I mean, makes no sense. They said the Louisville game had Mario shook post TVD trauma. Staff realized we had no choice but to open up the offense. Yeah. But if you was going to say post TVD trauma, shit, TVD just looked bad. You know, hell, it would have been opposite. Beck actually looked better after that Louisville game. After the SMU game, he did. So, I mean, TVD, he just started looking, he didn't look good at all. He couldn't hit open receivers or nothing when he got rattled. So, but whatever reason, they waited too late to do it. I know they got a lot of talent. They're trying to get a lot of guys on the field. Sometimes it's game flow. I get all of that. But they know their room better than we know than we know it. And from what I'm seeing out of some of these young boys out there, they should have been on the field a little bit sooner or getting some more reps. I know that running back room is stacked. But if Pringle's on the practice squad and he making plays against the Hurricanes' first team defense, you need to get him over there. They should have had him over there sooner. You know what I'm saying? It's like, yeah, if this guy out here making plays against your defense and you know how good your defense is, he should have been on that side of the ball a little bit sooner. If not even getting a couple of reps. Now, the Lyles situation, I don't know. I think they pushed him down the depth chart a little bit. So it'll be interesting on that. If I'm a coach and when I'm recruiting, I want you to come and have that I'm going to take your spot mentality, no cutthroat there. I want players that want to put in that work and start. Yeah. That's why when I didn't understand where he was going with that question. It's just an odd way to frame it. I don't think any player, unless he's a walk-on, or unless he comes in the portal, because you do have players like this that are come in the portal to certain schools, and they tell them, like right from the beginning, you probably won't get on the field this year. At some of these universities, you know, like, hey, he's a starting linebacker or he's a starting whatever, and we brought you in to play special teams or whatever. And some players are fine with that. They might be coming from a lower tier college, trying to come up to a Division I college, or from a lower school, trying to come into a Power 5, Power 4 conference, however we want to say it now. And they okay with that role. But most players, they all want to play. And they want to come in and compete. The only division that you get where you will say cutthroat, because I'm not naive to think that it doesn't happen. It does happen. I'll tell you a little story. I'm not going to say no names. I'm hearing about a buddy of mine, his son is playing. He's not happy with his playing time. And like I told him, well, you transferred from one school to another. They kind of told you it is what it is. When you got there, you feeling like now, okay, I'm better than this player, but you feeling this way. The coaching staff ain't telling you this. You feeling this way. Every player feels like they better than the next guy that's in front of them. But you can't make waves. That's not going to get you on the field by sitting up pouting and doing all that extra stuff. What's going to get you on the field is doing what Pringle's doing or did and show up every week and run the practice squad, play hard, show the coaches that you want to be there. And then when your number's called, go out there and do what you're supposed to do. Do what you came to do. You know you got the talent. You go out there and you show it. So you do have some players that will come in and be cutthroat by sitting up saying, hey, I ain't playing, man. He ain't, this guy ain't shit, man, blah, 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 trying to sow that division. And then in practice, he's smiling in your face. So don't get me wrong. It is players like that in college football, well, in all sports. And walk of life is players like that. But I've never gotten that vibe from the guys that's in that locker room. I've personally spoken to people that has been in that locker room, and they told me it's not like that. So that's why I was confused with the question. And maybe we just try to get him out of character, and maybe he didn't think, the question was that big of a deal. And I always say, sometimes I am bad at overanalyzing some things, but when you put it out there, you can't take it back. So the question, guys, they went out. What do you guys think going to happen? You think the committee's going to take a look at their body of work depending on who wins and loses? Matter of fact, have the AP rankings came out yet? Somebody put it in chat, let me know. I haven't had time to look at it because I've been prepared for this live, but I was just interested to know where we might have failed in the AP rankings if they're out yet. I don't think the college football rankings come out till Tuesday, maybe? I don't know. I'm not really sure. But what do you guys think that'll happen with the committee? It's going to be interesting. I was talking to a buddy yesterday, big Notre Dame fan, and he's been on this show. And we'll talk time to time Notre Dame football and Miami football. And we're just trying to figure out the consistency. When I told him that there was bias, he kind of laughed, said it wasn't. But there is name recognition bias that goes on in college football. And I think we all can agree with that, except for the teams that the biases lean towards. You know, Alabama loses, right? They lost to Florida State. Now, before they lost to Florida State, they weren't even considering that loss as a bad loss. They just glossed over that. Will they consider it now? Because they played early in the season? Because if that's the prerequisite, oh, well, you lose early in the season, then why even play that game? Play that game at the end of the year then. Be like Georgia Tech playing Georgia at the end of the year. If it doesn't mean anything, so I go out and beat you, but the game means nothing to the committee. It's crazy. If Miami wins out, one person in the committee said, or either Whitlock or Kim's sports segment, that they will not leave Miami out in favor of Notre Dame if both teams are 10-2. I'm not so sure there. Remember, people were complaining about Notre Dame getting in last year. I don't see how you could put them in over there, because if you stack up Notre Dame's record against Miami record, if they won out, you can't tell me their record better than Miami's record. And sure, some teams that they beat aren't ranked right now, talking about Miami, but they were ranked at the time. And that means something. So, I don't know. You wouldn't think they would leave them out, but seems like we're in the same exact position OSU was in last year, except they had a worse loss than us to Michigan, the last game of the year, and still made it in. So I like our chances. I like our chances too, if they went out. I think this team, unlike last year's team, I think the committee looks at them as more complete than last year's team and a better team overall than last year's team. Because remember last year team, the hype around last year team was they will be fun if they make it in because of the offense. It was never like they considered last year team to be a true threat. You know, we just wanted to see Cam Ward, wanted to see the offense. It would be fun to see. This team, if they click it on all cylinders, can actually make some noise if they get in. And I think the committee knows that because if you talk to any of the guys that the pundits and stuff, they see the talent that Miami has on both sides of the ball. The defense playing lights out. So it'll be hard if they went out and put a 3-loss SEC team in, or a team that you beat head to head. But you live long enough, you see some crazy, crazy things. Crazy things. So I don't have a lot of faith in the committee, but I don't know. I don't know. It says D-Hep, they see that we're going to be a problem. The SEC doesn't want that. Hey, look, we could talk about the SEC all day long, but yeah, they damn sure don't want that. I think, like I said, I will have to wait. They have to show me because there's no way you could tell me that Miami isn't one of the 12 best teams in the nation. Have they had lapses where they didn't play like it? Yeah, but other teams did too. And Alabama losing to Florida State isn't it no worse than Miami losing to Louisville. You know, so I'm just trying to get their understanding. That's why it's going to be really interesting to see when they move up. Because the AP writers starting to know stuff. It's teams in the on a list from the ACC that Miami's ranked ahead of for a reason. I mean, we look at Georgia Tech. We love Georgia. I ain't gonna say we love Georgia Tech, but you know they play a good style of football. But really, I don't think really people think Georgia Tech is a threat to win the national championship. I don't think, and there's no shade against Georgia Tech. I don't think they got better athletes than us. They play physical. They play 4 quarters, and you got to go in it with a hard hat to beat them. But they just been barely getting by the skin of their chinny chin. Who else? Duke. They go out lose to UConn, then turn around and look like crap yesterday. I guess we could say Virginia, but I think Miami would beat Virginia. Pittsburgh, I know a lot of people making a lot of big things about Miami traveling up to Pittsburgh, and it's going to be cold and stuff and everything. But if any game they're going to run the ball in inclement weather, and you got the backs that can do it, is Miami traveling up there where the conditions might get a little haywire. So it's going to be interesting to see how this committee breaks this down. And I'm going to be glued to the TV intensely to see where they fall in the rankings. Because I don't know what they came in last, but they, like I say, they need to get up in that top. Well, we know they need to be in the top 12, But each week they need to be constantly climbing. It said Georgia Tech will be ACC champions. Probably so. I don't know. It depends on who they play. I don't know. And like I say, Georgia Tech play hard. I give them that. They play really hard. 2 games we lost were winnable, and both games winnable, and we were both bad games and scored. We had the ball. Yeah. Yeah. I'm with Prince Wayne on this. Like I said, I'm not even focused on the ACC. I know a lot of people are because we need that, or people want that feather in the cap. But if you guys remember, we posed this question, Bigger Than E and I think about a couple of months ago. Would you rather win the ACC championship or be in a national championship game? Which one would you rather have? You know, it's just one of those things. If you get in, all bets are off. You know, so that's what I like to see. What up, Kane fam? Julian? You get in, you give yourself a chance, and anything could happen. So I know it's a big thing on the ACC, and sometimes people make it bigger than what it is. But I really think that, hey, making it in to the playoffs has way more weight now than being in your conference championship game. You get in there and make a run. Look at the money it brings to your school. Notre Dame got in there last year and made a run. You don't know how to draw lands if you get in. You know, so just never know. I wasn't sold on Miami because of Notre Dame freshman quarterback put up numbers on defense. It was a good chance they would play again in South Bend. I keep hearing that somebody told me that they might play again. I think my buddy called me yesterday. But going back to the Notre Dame game, people got to remember, it wasn't a lot of tape on that quarterback. Didn't nobody know he was going to come out in the second half and start using his legs. So the more film they get on you, the better off they can defend you. Miami came in with a game plan in the first game to shut down Jeremiah Love, which they did. Now, some people will say, oh, well, they didn't give him the ball enough and this and that. It was a reason why. Because that defense was flying around hitting. And one of the scores was on a broken play. So I'm not on this bandwagon to say, like, Notre Dame will go in there or Miami will go there and lose to Notre Dame. Miami can beat Notre Dame. They got the horses if they was to play again. Notre Dame playing some good football, yes. I mean, the way they dismantled Pitt yesterday, it was sorry. Just watching Pitt out there. They letting Jeremiah Love run like he out there hopping and spinning and doing all kinds of shit out there. I'm thinking of them like he running through holes and ain't even being touched. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know. It said make the playoffs and have a chance to win the national title. ACC title means what? Yeah. Yeah. It said Miami would beat Notre Dame again. Truly believe it. Yeah. Oh man, y'all got to stop. It says Pittsburgh was overrated, just like Indiana and Oregon. You know, all right, now y'all getting me out my comfort zone because I don't like to rail against teams. The last time I said something about Indiana, boy, they came from me hard. Then that was last year. But I think I said Indiana didn't. Well, I ain't gonna say didn't deserve because I said they deserve to be in the championship game because that's the way the schedule did it. But if you watched them play all season, you knew they wasn't going to be able to compete last year. This year, I think they better. Even though their schedule hasn't been rock hard, Oregon really hasn't either, So, like I say, the only team I really like that I have a lot of faith in is in the Big Ten is Ohio State because they look the part, But that's either here or there. Oregon, I don't know. They look good, but we see what happens with Oregon go up against big teams that's going to be power football and everything. So I don't know. Overrated, yeah, maybe. Mendoza has been playing good, so I'm not going to take anything away from his play. Penn State basically gave that game away. Should have beat him. Pittsburgh coach only want to play Miami. Yeah. Hey, you might be right there. Hey, when he made that statement, I don't care if we lose by 50. Now, I know he was being a little facetious, but come on. Why even make a statement like that? It makes no sense. It makes you think, first of all, with all this crap going on with sports betting and players throwing games and all this stuff, you should even have made a statement like that at all. Bookie's sitting back like, damn, is he trying to throw the game or what? But I don't know. I'll just being funny there. I don't know. It says go Canes. What's up, Chris? It said, man, let's go beat Vitek in Pittsburgh. Oh man. It say, I want us to make the playoffs. We're a dangerous team with talented roster. Yeah. 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 I agree. Memphis will be a problem if they get in. Maybe. I know South Florida, they blew their chance, didn't they? Really blew their chance on that one. I agree with you here, Gio. It says Vitek and Pitt Super Bowl. Yeah. And that's the thing, they travel on the road, and I didn't play a lot of that interview when Mario's was basically talking about, packing up. You got to travel. You got to have this same energy going on the road, because it's just a different environment when you're not playing at home. So they have to, and I think they know what they're up against. And they know, talking about Vitek and Pitt, that are going to give them their best shot. Now, it's crucial that Miami come out and just put their foot on their neck. Like I say, all gas, no brake. You got to come out and play like you the superior team. If you do that, you okay. I know you're on the road, but that means nothing if you a supposedly playoff team playing teams that's not even ranked. You playing a non-ranked Virginia Tech team. People don't want excuses. People don't want a close game. The committee don't want a close game. You have to come in there and throttle them. Because if you don't, and you go in there, you just barely escape. And I know people going to say a win is a win. The committee is not going to look at it that way. That's why they talking about style points. So it says Shannon Dawson gave them something to think about with the play calling. Yeah, Shannon Dawson, I will say this, and a lot of people have been real critical of Shannon Dawson, which he deserves criticism to a certain extent. Because I said before that some of the plays that he was calling, the backs weren't hitting the hole. They running right into the line. Fans were getting mad, rightfully so, because the guy is running right into the pile. Why? You know? My lady watching the game, and she don't know a lot about football, and she like, why is he running right into the pile? Not even trying to bounce it out. It was baffling. It's baffling that one back could come in and bounce it to a B or C gap, like I said earlier, press the hole a little bit, and it's a world of difference. The same play call, but a back with a little bit more vision. A little bit more vision. Hey, Chris, it says, how you doing, man? First time I've seen your channel before. Great job. I agree. No messing around. Put the foot on the gas. We should be blowing a lot of teams out like we did against NC State. All right, Chris. Hey, man, I thank you for tuning in, man. Subscribe to the channel, bro. Glad to have you back. So, yeah, just like, yes, D, you're right. Pringle has vision. Yep, Pringle got vision. And you know, when I try to say this without throwing shade, because some people are taking it as hate, but it's not. It's like you can just see when this guy running the ball, why do you keep running into the back of lineman? You're not even trying to cut. Sometimes the hole is not there. And you have to have the vision to press it a little bit. You got to have a little patience. You know, so that was just the frustrating part about that. You know, that's what Dawson was telling Mario on the sidelines, where they thought they were arguing about. He was talking about running backs not sliding and hitting the correct. Thank you. I mean, that's why I was getting frustrated when people was on Shannon Dawson about he's running the same plays over and over. Look, I can run 1,000 plays. If you ain't got the vision to hit the hole, hell, what difference do it make? Now, Marty Brown, You saw him yesterday. I don't know what he ate for. He had a little wiggle in his step. He was spinning and everything yesterday. I said he was doing stuff I ain't seen him do all year. And he's been running the ball well all year. Don't get me wrong. But I'm saying he had a little extra wiggle to his step yesterday. But yeah, you call these plays, man, and if you ain't got vision, man, it makes no difference. The only time you need to run in the back of somebody, if you're just trying to get a first down on 3rd and 1, 3rd and short, whatever, you just got to move the pile. Other than that, try to find the correct hole. Hey, what up, Double B? No problem, man. We here. It says Lawler's a one cut back, Fletcher and Brown are power back. Pringles has that juice. Yeah, home run hitter. But the funny part, you have Fletcher and Brown, and that's all you played the first, 6 games? Pretty much, for the most part. I mean, we know other people got in the games, but they demanded most of the carries. And Fletcher had some good games. But it's just something about when Pringle came in, you just saw that the vision. It's not so, this is what I'm saying, it's the vision. It's the patience that he was giving them before he hit the hole. And that's what I think Fletcher was kind of lacking. Not so much Marty. Because Marty, when he came in, he had that power, but you remember, he was still making people miss. It was more so much Fletcher to me that just didn't have that vision. If the hole wasn't there, he was still trying to make a hole. So and that's just no shade against him. It just seemed like it was. He just more of a power back. He couldn't make those. He a big man, first of all. He's not going to cut like Pringle or Lyle and them. So he a big boy. They say Pringle is making them have extra pep in their steps because they see what he doing out there. Yeah. Hey, it's amazing what competition to do to you. It's like, hey, look, this guy out here doing all this stuff. Hey, let me get myself together. Let's take a couple of more. It says freshman got moves out of underclassmen. He's very good and talented with Pringle, Malachi, Tony, JoJo Trader. Yeah, that freshman, that underclassman, Jesus. Man, you looking at this class here like there's something special if they keep all these guys and try to keep them all happy. And it seemed like they all like each other. Man, it's gonna be something. He said, actually, Dawson was talking about the center kept getting blown up. He wasn't talking about the RBs. The center couldn't keep his guy blocked. Hey, Double B, I kept hearing stuff about the center. Actually, let me see. If it was the game that they lost, I think I was traveling. Remember, I told you I watched the condensed game, so I didn't get to see a whole lot of that. But hey, whatever it was, it got them right. You say, but I ain't ready to say Pringle is better than Fletcher. I would say this, Double B. I'm not going to say he better than Fletcher. I just say he brings a different dynamic than Fletcher. And they both could be used effectively. Because it just depends on what type of game that's being called. Because we can't deny that Pringle brings that extra pop. Fletcher is more downhill, little shiftiness, but the thing with Fletcher, from what I've saw, my personal opinion, he doesn't have the vision that Pringle has. And I think that what was hurting them in the last couple of games that they lost. And that's just my personal opinion on that one. If Dawson can run a run of the double wide sets, that would create a lot of space. Yeah, I know Dawson runs a lot of condensed sets, and a lot of fans don't like that. And I think that's just style of offense he run. I mean, you see a lot of teams, they use every inch of the turf. They'll spread guys all the way out, you know. But like say, I don't know. I mean, that's just the way he's been running it. I done kind of got used to it. I ain't gonna say I agree with it all the time, but it is what it is on that one. You know, I'll just say, hey, just put your playmakers in space where they can make plays. You know, so it's a good to see Elijah used more than I like. I like our tight ends. Well, I just talked about Elijah, and like I said, I need to see more out of Elijah. I don't know what did happen. I don't know. I don't know what happened this season. And the only reason I'm saying that is because a lot of us, if you follow the channel, expected a lot more out of Lofton. And we'll be lying if we didn't say that. I mean, we can go all the way back and we were talking about him in the spring, and we thought he'd be the best at his position. And it just hasn't panned out that way this year. I don't know why. It hasn't. And he still got time to come on, you know, and hopefully these next couple of games he come on and he's a valuable weapon to have. But he just hasn't been making a lot of plays. And I don't think anybody would disagree with that. You know, I'm pretty sure he wants to make more plays, you know. You know, so I don't know. Say Eli doesn't block well, he missed a lot of blocks. Yeah. You would think that with some of these big tight ends that they got, they would probably run a little bit more double wide set and things like that. So I don't know. I mean, not double wide, double tight end sets. I meant, he said, I know Phil for the talk that was put on Elijah Lofton from other YouTube channels, but I don't know. Hope he lives up to the hype. Oh, he never fell for the hype that was put on Elijah Lofton. Okay, for other YouTube channels. Okay. Yeah. And it was a lot of that. Going back to what you said, Double B, it was a lot of hype on Lofton coming into the season. You know, bigger than he, that's all he kept saying. And, you know, Elijah, you know, blah, blah, blah. He the truth, this and that. But we just haven't, in all honesty, like I say, it's no shade, it's just being truthful. And I think he would agree he hasn't had the season from a personal standpoint that he thought he should have. And I don't know if they're not drawing up plays for him schematically. I'm not really sure. Chris Wayne said that he don't block well. Sometimes that's not going to get you on the field a lot if you ain't blocking well, because a lot of the receivers do block well. Malachi blocks well. CJ Daniels, when he out there, block well. It's a lot of those guys, they block well when they out there. And some dogs blocking. You know, I had a guy send me something yesterday saying, he'd do better if he put on some real football pants. And I was like, oh, man, leave him alone, man. You know, that's the trend now. These guys wearing these little, I don't know what the hell they wearing, basketball shorts. I don't know what the hell they wearing out there now. I'm like, Jesus Christ. So it's interesting. to say the least. So they're going to go into this Virginia Tech game. I don't know if they got the spread out on it or not. But like I said, I'm looking at these guys and I'm thinking that they got to go in here with the same mentality. They got to go out here and really put their foot on their neck. They can't come out here bull crapping around. Because if they do, you think the Bluebirds coming out for you now, let them go up there playing around and see what happens. Let's see here. It says, going to the defense where we were smothering Jacoby Thomas was excellent yesterday. Sounds like Keontae injury is really serious for what Mario said. I hope the young man is okay. Yeah, somebody emailed me about that and said that they thought he was out for the season. So, yeah, whatever happened to Keontae sounds like it was bad. That defense, as I said before, has played well pretty much all year. It's nothing bad. We can always find a broken play here and a broken play there, but it's nothing bad that I could say about that defense. I mean, from the moment that they took the field in the Notre Dame game, I saw the difference that Heatherman made. Because that play from the Notre Dame game of the defense to how they've been playing all season, and if you remember some of the things we talked about in the spring, where he came in saying that accountability, communication, he want guys to fly around and stuff, we just seen it all year. And that's a testament to Heatherman to get these guys to play as hard as they playing. Sometimes we don't like to put a lot of stock in coaches. And I know a lot of guys, they like Lance Guthrie, and of that nature. But it just tells you it's amazing what a coach can do with the defensive scheme, and the players respect them. And I'm not saying that the players didn't respect Lance. Don't get that twisted. But I'm just saying, I'm talking about Heatherman himself. They got the boys playing fast, hard, and believing. Now, the difference is, more with the Lance, it was more of a read and react. Heatherman got these guys flying. So that's one thing that you just saw immediately from the beginning of the season. He said, they wear those hot pants because no one put helmet on them knees like the old days. Hey, right, boy, you come out there, boy, with those pants on, you be walking out. Shh, you can't do things like that. But halftime, everything is a penalty these days, but I digress. So, oh, man, matter of fact, before I move on, we got to do something about these damn ACC refs, man. These refs, and I ain't even just talking about the Miami game. These refs are horrendous. Horrible. There's no other way to cut it. They blow, I'm going to say at least one call a game. We know that. We're going to give them that they're going to get one call bad. And it's usually a call that's bad where there's no instant replay. But they getting way more than one call wrong. They got to do something about this. People been complaining about the ACC refs for the last couple of years. And damn it, we don't need no statements that I made the wrong call or after the game or, yeah, we missed that after the game. Some of them jobs need to be going. I'm just being honest. Ridiculous. It says, yeah, great team defense yesterday. Great game playing by Heatherman. Yeah, I agree. It says, yep, Heatherman got them boys rocking and rolling. Yep. So I knew when Heatherman came down from Minnesota, and people that looked at his numbers knew that, if you can do this in the Big Ten, even though Minnesota didn't have a great record defensively, that again, they defense kept them in a lot of games. A lot. Next year or two, somebody's gonna be looking at him to be a head coach. So he said, I agree, the refs blow the whistle all the time on us. Yeah. It's crazy. It makes me go back to, what was that game? Somebody have to refresh my memory. What was the play? Was that Tamar Brown that broke up to middle and then they blew the whistle, but he wasn't even down and he ran for like a 30, 40-yard touchdown or whatever it was. And they just blew the whistle. No reason. He wasn't even down. And it's like, what are you guys doing? It's like, Jesus Christ. Yeah, we need to pay Heatherman that. Pay Heatherman. Man. Yeah. What he wants now. I agree. Heatherman is one of those guys. He's young. You need to lock him up. I mean, he didn't prove his worth. And how did he prove his worth, D-Hab? I'm going to tell you how. Heatherman went out and basically picked who he wanted player-wise on the defense. He the one went up to, was the one that went up to Michigan State and got my man and said he wanted old boy from the linebacker. And it was another player, so he went out and knew what players that would fit his system. Torrey, I'm thinking about. He was the one that's like, yeah, I know what this man, Torrey, boom, we need him. So he can evaluate talent of what he needs to fit his system. So, yeah, you need to lock him up and pay him. And plus, you got some young boys coming there. And didn't they just flip a safety or somebody? They flipped somebody that I haven't gotten to the recruiting stuff the last couple of weeks, but I'm gonna start diving back in that in a little bit. But so he got some players coming in. So yeah, give that man what he wants. He's doing a hell of a job. And you need to, before we get out of here, I'll need to know all y'all take on this Lenore Sellers to Miami. I need to know what your opinion is. I don't know if it's true, but if it is, what do you guys think about it? You think it's a good move? You think they should just go without what they got next year? And if they do, before you answer, if you do, or are you okay with them not winning 10 games? Because you're going to tell me, and I ain't even got to be Sellers, but I'm just saying, you're going to tell me you okay with Nickel or Coleman coming out there and you think we'll get 10 wins with them. So what do you guys think? If it's not Sellers, should we roll with what we got and maybe take a step back? Maybe you won't. We don't know. Or do you think they'll hop in the portal and grab a portal quarterback? It doesn't even have to be Sellers, but what do you think? You guys let me know. Because I'm interested to know from a fan's perspective how they feeling on. I know we talked about this at the beginning of the season. A lot of guys were tired of the Canes getting in the portal for quarterbacks. I remember guys didn't want Cam. All right, they coming in now. Let's see what you're saying out here. Said, I've been hearing about sellers, mixed feelings. What's the mixed feelings there? You got to elaborate. Because I mean, I got some mixed feelings. I don't think sellers, and I'm talking to Chris here, I don't think sellers is as bad as a lot of people think he is, but I am worried about him under pressure. I'm just going to be honest with you. I like I said earlier, I think when things are going good, I think Sellers is as good as any of them. But when things are going bad, he's bad. I mean, like, it's just no even sugarcoating it. He's bad. So, all right, Double B, would you say, no, sir, concentrate on developing the guys we already have. Now, if that North Texas quarterback hits the portal, then that's a different animal. Interesting. Interesting. They said we should develop the QBs we got. Yeah, we got plenty of them. We got plenty of them. You still got Emory coming back. A lot of people not high on Emory, but hey, like I said, he a competitor. You think he just gonna just be like, oh, bring somebody in? You don't think he's gonna come and fight for the job? A lot of people don't want to hear it, but it's the truth. You got Emory. You got Nickel. You got Coleman coming in. You got they got Joaquin Gonzalez's son on the practice squad. You don't think he wants to play? You know what I'm saying? You got talent there. Shit, Joaquin Gonzalez's son was he was I think he had one scout team award a couple of months ago. So the point I'm making, yeah, we got guys that want to play. The question is going to be, are we willing to go through the growing pains? Because all these guys we mentioning ain't been through the fire. And I will say this, quarterback is a little bit way different than wide receiver. So it's going to be interesting. They said we got to go with what we got sooner or later. We have to develop a quarterback. I agree. I agree with you, Prince, but this is the thing that I've been doing this a while here. Do the fans agree with that? Because you know if we come and we put Luke Nickel go out there, we'll say even if Luke go out there, hypothetically, Luke gets 7 wins his first year as a starter. They're going to be calling that man trash. Now, I wouldn't, but the fans will. Say he goes 7, they don't make the playoffs. He shows promise. But he's getting this game experience. Man, these fans can't handle that. And that's that touchy situation that I think that the fans, the university, and the coaches go through because it's a win now, high pressure situation. I would like to see what Nickel could do. You know, it's going to tell a lot. You know, like I say, I don't know if he'll beat out Emory, though. We don't know. Sellers got talent. I worry about him in the big games if things go wrong. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That man there, Jesus. Like I said, I don't know. I don't know. For all the hype Sellers got at the beginning of the year, it's not just him on that team, and don't get me wrong, but you know what I'm saying. Fans want a national championship, national title, and nothing less every year. Yep, that's true. It says if Seller comes to Miami, it definitely wouldn't hurt anything. He can make big plays with his arm and legs. A better offensive line makes him a better quarterback. He's better than average. I agree, better than average. People been on him. Like I said, I don't think he is bad as people make him seem. I think he's a good quarterback. The question going to be is, how does he handle pressure mentally? Now, because I know he is South Carolina. We know he in the SEC, but he ain't getting the type of pressure that, and I'm talking about mental pressure that Ty Simpson getting at Alabama or Gunnar Stockton at Georgia, you know, because they consider him second tier. He come to the University of Miami, he gonna have some pressure and pressure to perform. So, like I say, guys, that's one of the little things that worries me. You guys can keep commenting. Let me know your thoughts on that. You guys, if you haven't smashed that like button, smash that like button for me, man. And I'm going to try to get back on here more frequently because I've been traveling a lot. Bigger than E will be back with me next week. And we just going to make it happen, baby. Keep going to the top. Once again, hit the like button, share this content, notify your friends that we out here every week. And I'll holler at you guys. Stay up now.